Now we're going.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Okay, I was telling you about Calgary. You know, first of all, I was 8 years old when the family left Raymond and we moved to Calgary, and Daddy was managing a roller skating rink. And we were 3 years in Calgary, and that's where the family got sick with diphtheria. And by then, Milo was in the dental corps with in the service for the dental corps, and Joe was overseas. Joe went into France on the D-Day. D-Day went into France. And then Bill was working in Kitimat, and he, for some reason or other, he couldn't go in the service. And I still don't know why. And then Johnny was taken from the family and was working, and Winona was working she was working someplace in Calgary. And so there's Lucille, is the next oldest, and then me. And then the family got diphtheria.
She died on the 31st of July, 1943.
Okay, and I was 11.
So it's right. Let's see. World War II ends in 45. So we're right in the thick of World War II.
Yeah, right, and I'm well aware of that.
Because that's where that's where
Milo and Joe.
Milo and Joe are
Mother
both
was
over there.
constantly worried about them. But Greggy died, and then Lucille a week later. But with Lucille, sulfa drug had just come out, and they overdosed on the sulfa drug for her and burned out her kidneys, and she knew she was dying, and Mom and Dad knew she was. And
she was 13.
And she was 13. In October, she would have been 13.
So you were away at girls' camp, so you weren't home.
Well, I was there. Oh, yeah, I was there. They were all hospitalized when I came home in July, and she died in what month did you say? October.
I think I said October, didn't I?
Yeah, I think you did. So they were sick for quite a while. And then Greggy died, and a week later, Lucille died. And they let a family that used to come over and have dinner and have fun and play with it, let this family come over and play. And one of their kids died. Why I didn't get it, I don't know. But they thought, oh, it's okay, you know, the kids will be all right. But one of their children died.
So diphtheria, that's comes from like contaminated water and so on, doesn't it?
Well, it could. Mother insists we had a slaughterhouse close by, and we could smell the cattle, the slaughter of these animals, and Mother insists that's where it came from. It was they were calling it a real bad strep throat, and Mother says, I have seen diphtheria, and it was diphtheria, was Mother's words.
So you had been in this is Calgary.
Calgary.
3 years.
And this was 3 years,
And then.
Because after that we moved to Nelson.
Where were you before Calgary?
Raymond.
Oh, Raymond.
Yeah.
Raymond, which is kind of like a suburb.
Not of Calgary. Raymond is
How far away?
50 miles from Lethbridge, and Calgary's up north from Lethbridge. Cardston was settled by Latter-day Saints, and Lethbridge also close by, and then Raymond was off to the east of Lethbridge about 50 miles. And when we were in Raymond, when I was 7.5, that's where I got my appendix burst.
Well, that's true.
And Daddy, well, Mom and Dad had gone to a movie. Rarely did they get to go to a movie. And I just was really sick with a bad stomach ache. And by the time they got home, they could see that it wasn't just a stomach ache. Mother kept accusing me of eating too much bologna, and I didn't like bologna. They'd buy a big stack of it when the cousins would come, and I hadn't touched it. But they immediately called the doctor, and I can still remember being in my father's arms, the only time I can ever remember being in my father's arms, and I can remember the warmth of him holding me while I was in real bad pain, going across a gravel road 50 miles into Lethbridge. And some point, I think it was right on the operating table, my appendix burst. And I've spent the years having doctors look at my stomach, and they would say, what doctor performed that mess, you know? And I said that to a surgeon. He said, they saved your life. He said, they had to leave you open. I came to, I thought it was on the operating table, but it could have been when they just had to leave it all open. If they closed me up, I'd have died with all the infection in there. And they just left it open to heal and get the infection out. But anyway, that's what the surgeon said, is they saved your life, which by the appendix bursting like that, it clogged my fallopian tubes, and our beautiful little miracle, Terry, was born, and the only one that I could have. And it was a miracle because I could never get pregnant again. And after Linda was born at 9 months, when she was 9 months old, one of the fallopian tubes burst. And when he got in, he said they were like two big sausages, that they were blocked off from the adhesion. He said he'd never seen so many adhesions in a surgery. My whole stomach was loaded with adhesions blocking the fallopian tubes. And he tried to repair one of them, hoping he could open one up that I could maybe get pregnant again, but it never worked.
So you were actually born there in Raymond.
Yes.
Where was your father born?
Daddy was born in Provo, Utah.
Oh, he was. Oh, that's right.
He was, Dominicus Carter. A lot of Dominicus Carter people there in Provo. A lot of Carters in Provo.
And your mother,
mother was born in Salina, in Aurora.
Aurora?
Mother was born in Aurora and later moved to Salina. And they went up into Canada in wagon trains and my mother and father met in Canada. I had tried to claim Daddy's citizenship when I came down to school, and Daddy lost it by serving in the Royal Northwest Mounted Police. He went into Vladivostok and Siberia, horseman, and served for Canada, so he lost his citizenship. Mother never did, but they just wouldn't let me make claim on it.
So Alma Carter is your grandfather.
My grandfather. And his wife, Eunice.
His father is
Pulsipher.
Dominicus Carter.
Yes.
His wife is Eunice.
Eunice, yeah, and Eunice was the granddaughter of Zira Pulsipher. So
and she was born in Hebron, down in Washington County by St. George.
Yeah.
Ghost town now, I think.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's still on the map.
But
And what do you tell me?
she was buried in Raymond. 1945
Alma?
it says.
Eunice. Oh, Eunice was, yes.
Yeah. So did they follow you up there?
Well, they took Daddy up there. Eunice is
that's right.
my father's mother.
And that's where your mother and father met
yeah,
up there.
they lived in Del Bonita, and when they died, they were living a little shack in back of the brick house there in Raymond. I have pictures of where they lived right there.
The brick house is where you guys lived?
In Raymond. And there's a little shack that Daddy built in the back for his mom and dad, and he took care of them. They died though when we went to Calgary. He sold the house for $250, a big nice big brick house, just for the taxes on it, to a cousin, so he would take care of his mom and dad there.
He died, Alma died in 39, she died in 45.
Okay, so she was there alone.
What was she like?
And both of those grandparents I have a real hard time with. I can remember her inviting me into that little cabin, and she fried some oatmeal and made me eat it. And I remember gagging it. She used to tell Mother that she just wasted Daddy's money because she didn't fry that oatmeal, and she'd just throw it out. She wouldn't fry the oatmeal.
Yeah, I'm with you on
Well, that I can remember gagging that down, and I don't think I ever went back in there to see them. And then,
And they're saying ungrateful grandchildren.
well, probably, yeah.
Good fried oatmeal,
Yeah.
we won't even eat it.
Yeah, and I didn't want to even sit on my grandfather's lap. I don't have good memories of that grandma and grandpa. But Grandpa Jones lived in Raymond, and he was a gardener. His white mother was a gardener. And he made seeds, saved all the seeds for the residents there in Raymond, and helped them with their gardening. And I just remember him out in his garden with this huge long beard, a very gentle old man. But he died. I don't know if I would say I was maybe 4 or 5, but I don't know. I don't remember a lot. He wasn't there a real long time when I was in Raymond.
Did Grandma, did Sarah Alice Beebe die before he did? Or did he die first?
She died first.
Sarah Beebe died in
I don't remember her at all.
1925, pretty
Yeah.
early.
See, I was born in 32, so.
Oh, wow.
And
When did he die?
John F. Jones.
Uh-huh.
John F. Jones died in 1945.
Okay, so he was there when we left for Raymond in 42.
So what did I say? What year did I say she died?
So you were 13. So he died after Lucille.
We were in Nelson.
And Greggy died.
Yeah.
They look like, from those pictures, they just look like poor. It was hard to scratch a living out up there, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it was.
But they went up there. There was sort of a land rush for homestead property or something in Canada.
Yeah.
Did they actually get ownership to property?
Oh, yeah.
Did they homestead?
Yeah, they homesteaded in Del Bonita. Daddy's family did.
Del Bonita.
Just out of Cardston.
Okay.
But wasn't it, I think it was President Snow at the time that was telling the members to go up into Canada. There was all this marvelous property that they could go up there and homestead. And the Knights there's a Knight building in Provo, and Raymond was named after Raymond Knight. And they went up there and put in a sugar factory, a beet sugar factory. And that's how a lot of them made their living, was with this sugar factory that they put in up there. And it was through the money, they had gotten their money through mining, and they were quite wealthy. And that's where Raymond started, was through the Knights going into Raymond.
Where's the temples in Cardston, isn't it?
Mhm.
Is that the original LDS settlement up there?
Uh-huh.
And that's
The Cards, people by the name of Card.
right, and that was sort of outside the boundaries of the United States, and most of them were probably polygamous at that time in the 1870s or something. That would have been the first. Then the Saints go to Canada, and they went to the colonies in Mexico. Those that wanted to remain in plural marriage and not hassle with the law.
I'm not familiar with that was hush-hush in our house. Mother never mentioned the polygamous thing. And I don't really remember, other than the Blackmores,
they weren't LDS, were they? Blackmores?
Yeah.
Oh, Blackmores
Yes.
were?
Oh,
Is that a
yes.
family name? What's Blackmore?
Blackmore, it's a family name,
Okay.
and he was in the government, the social credit
I'm thinking
government.
of the Dugabors or whatever. What I'm
Well,
thinking of.
But they settled in Creston, and they were a polygamous group. And they started, one of them married a 15-year-old and she died, and they went to the United States. And when we were interviewing people in Colorado City where the polygamists were,
On your
it was
mission, yeah.
on our mission, it was Blackmore families that the Blackmores had gone on down into Colorado City. And that's the only polygamist that I remember talking about in Canada. And John Blackmore would come to the house and chat with us and all. And Mother, I could always tell she wasn't happy with the situation because he was polygamous.
But Dominicus Carter was in plural marriage, wasn't he?
Definitely, definitely, yes. But when they went up there, my grandparents weren't polygamous.
No.
So, yeah.
So tell me about Grandma Carter's dreams.
Oh. And I should quote her patriarchal blessing.
I have it in there.
That she would be able, that she would have dreams, was it for her family, and she would be able to interpret the dreams, and she did. It was just absolutely amazing what would happen, and she could interpret it. I remember when my fallopian tubes burst in Chico, and I hadn't told Mother, but I called her to tell her, and I said, Mom, what have you been dreaming about me? And she says, well, she says that you were really sick in your stomach, and she said, I knew you were having some kind of a problem. And then I told her. But one of the one that I remember, Willie, my brother, 2 years younger than me, was working in Spokane. He was an electrician, and he slipped, and he came down a pole and about took this finger off. And he drove himself to the hospital, and he walked up to the counter, and the lady said, go sit down and wait your turn. And he walked up again. He's getting kind of weak because he's bleeding, and his finger's just hanging. And she said, go sit down. And he did it about 3 times, and finally he just went like this. And his finger is hanging, and it's bleeding. And she says, oh my God. And Mother heard it. When Willie called Mother to tell him, she had heard someone say, oh my God. I bet I should have made better notes on her dreams.
Now when Lucille had her work done, or somebody had her work done, she knew, right? Didn't she see her?
I don't remember that. But when Marvin died,
No,
Marvin.
Marvin.
When Marvin died, the family said, Mother and Lita are here. Just before he died, he said, Mother and Lita are here. But you're talking about when she was alive and her dreams.
That's right, you can tell us about that.
But I'm not that one with Willie. She had a lot of her family come and visit her. She had a lot of visits beyond the veil. The only one I ever had was after Mother died, and Terry and a friend and I went in to dress Mother, and I said, isn't she just beautiful? And no one was agreeing with me, and I said, she's gorgeous. And I didn't realize I was seeing something beyond the veil. Mother's nose was just a little bit off, but she was perfect. She was absolutely perfect when I saw her. And I told my family that, and I can remember Winona looking at her after we got into Nelson with her. And Winona says, well, I don't think she looks so good. And I thought, You know, I was seeing something beyond the veil. That Mother just gave me that little special thing there because she was so bright and she just looked so beautiful.
I remember being with you then, and
Yeah.
I kept looking, and I could not see
Yeah,
what you were seeing.
Yeah, neither of you, nor Johanna Millette was there, and neither of you would agree with me. And I was a little bit upset because you wouldn't agree with me how beautiful she was. But I had that opportunity to see her beyond the veil. It was just something beyond the veil that I had gotten to see. And I'm sorry you didn't get to see.
That was meant for you.
Yeah. But other than that,
Okay. Got a little bit of latitude there, right?
I don't know, on her dreams.
This is what her patriarchal blessing says. You shall have visions and dreams for your comfort and guidance.
Yeah. She did, you know. We had a neighbor that fixed her roof. He did so many things for her, and she tried to convert him. She would preach to him every time he'd come down to help her and work, and he wouldn't listen to her. Well, he died before Mother did, and he appeared to her, and she said that when he appeared, he looked embarrassed, as if to say, you were right. He was kind of hiding his face as if to say, you were right, you know. And I don't know if I'm not sure, but what she had their work done, because Mother was 94 when she died. And she outlived so many of them, but she did try to convert almost everyone that she, you know, that saw her, that she was around.
Share some other characteristics of Grandma.
Some of the other characteristics. Daddy was such a kind of an ornery cuss, and it was nice when Daddy was out the door. Because Mother was very easygoing. Mother, the only way she survived, I think, was because she just kind of rolled with the punches and took care of things. And I think that her outlet was her gardening. She had her garden that she loved, and she grew just about everything we had. We helped her can. We'd do thousands of quarts of fruit and stuff that Lita and Marlene and I would peel and cut up, and she would can. I learned to cold pack can in the 7th grade and came home and taught my mother how to do it, and she never did open pack canning again. And we always did the cold pack canning. And it was a big improvement and a lot less work than from what she was doing. What was the question?
Just characteristics of
Oh,
Grandma and
Mother's
Grandpa.
characteristics,
Yeah.
Yeah, she could give Daddy a bad time, times. One of something that happened to Daddy, Daddy was a good cook, and he would get up a lot of times and fix our breakfast for us, and Mother would sleep in a little bit. Well, one morning, the house is warm. Usually we get up and it's cold, and Daddy's getting the fire going and breakfast going. But this one morning, we slept in, and we couldn't figure it out. And Daddy walked in and said, what day is it? And we told him, and then he walked back around and he said, what day is it? What time is it? And we all started to laugh, and Mom said, don't. And we didn't know what was wrong with him, but his memory was gone. And he would go down to the pool hall and spend the day. He had gone down to the pool hall and came back to the house at about 2 o'clock. And we walked in the door. Well, it was after school, probably 3 or 4 o'clock. It was after school, and he walked in and said, what time is it? And we thought, oh no, But he came back and he was fine. We never did know what was wrong with him. It was probably just a bad blood sugar drop, because he probably went down to the pool hall and had his cup of coffee and a donut, which he had every day. Mother wouldn't fix the coffee for him at the house, so he would go down and have the coffee downtown. And that probably was just a bad blood sugar drop or something, because he eventually went diabetic. So,
And he used to be the town Santa Claus, didn't he, Grandpa?
he did. In Raymond, we would, you know, the whole town was LDS anyway, but they would have the big community Santa party, and we'd get in a big circle, and Santa would come in and go in the circle, and I could never figure out why Santa would always pay so much attention to me until later on I found out that Daddy played the Santa. He was the custodian in the schools, and so he was involved a lot with the schools and things there. So, and that was fun. But Mother she was gentle. People used to, well, in fact, Marion Mealy in the temple here about 1 month ago, she said, I just loved your mother, I just admired your mother. And so many people would tell me that. And she had the 3 little boys that were just little models. They would come into church and they would sit on the front row, and they were just as good as gold.
Are you talking about Gary, Marvin?
I'm Jim, Marvin, and Gary, her 3 little boys, her last 3 boys. And all of us would say, yeah, but they knew what they would get when they got home if they didn't behave. And it wasn't through Mother, it would be Daddy would get after them. But
so would Grandpa go to church?
He did for a little bit, and then he didn't. No, he stopped. I still don't know why, but Daddy had a marvelous knowledge of the gospel, absolutely marvelous knowledge of the gospel. And why he didn't help us, he was a mathematician, 8th grade in school, and he could work circles around our high school math. And he would laugh, and when he would outdo us, but he never showed us how to do it. You know, it wasn't, they didn't teach us. We were kind of on our own. So, are you through? You
You've done pretty good.
Nobody's going to sit through this. This is too
Tell
long. And
2 more things.
We can use it to put the kids to sleep at night.
Well, some of the horror stories, I don't know. Let me go back to when we got married. I told you we were married. And I was working at the church office buildings. I'm going back. And I would, I wasn't going to have a white wedding dress. I had decided that we couldn't afford it. You know, I was on my own. And someone said, well, you'll really be sorry if you don't have a dress. There was no way I could go buy a dress. And I would, on my way home from the church office buildings, I would walk through town, and I saw a wedding dress that I liked. And I thought, well, I can do that. So I made my wedding dress as close to that one as I could. And
so you didn't have a pattern?
It was strapless. I think I combined some patterns to get what I wanted, and it was strapless, so I made myself a jacket. And the jacket, actually, there was more to the little jacket that I put over the top than there was to the rest of the dress. But I was never sorry that I didn't put forth the effort. My roommate there had a new Singer sewing machine, and she told me I could use it. And after work, I quickly made my wedding dress. And when Marlene got married, she wrote and said, please send me your dress, I'm getting married. And so Marlene used it too. And I wasn't sorry that I went ahead and made the wedding dress.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be that brave now. I wouldn't make a wedding dress for my granddaughter or anyone else. I sewed for you and Terry and Linda a lot, but and for myself over the years.
Yeah, I learned how to sew at your hand.
Yeah.
It was simpler, wasn't it, then? A lot of.
It wouldn't be any different.
Why would you be more concerned now than you were then?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm more meticulous, fussier. Of course, it was a good wedding dress. It was okay, wasn't it?
Sure was.
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Sure was.
Yeah, and judging from the quality of the marriage,
Well, well, the marriage lasted longer than the dress, that's for sure. It got, I don't know.
We had the moles or those things that eat the cloth.
the moth.
The moths.
Moss, I don't know how
Moths.
we lost it, but,
But we had it out in the
Okay, you
storage
kind of-
shed for a long time.
yeah, we did. And that was a mistake. I hadn't boxed it up and I finally just tossed it.
Yeah.
But no one would have wanted to wear it anyway, so.
Your sister did.
Yeah, she did. But that wasn't too long after I was married. Any big ones that you need to know more about?
Well, there's a few more, but we can take a break.
Yeah. Okay.
That was good.
That's good.
Good. How do I turn it off?
Oh, we do.